Hey guys and girls, welcome back to some Monster Menu. So I thought in this episode, we do a little bit of reading, and if we get through all the stuff I have, which we probably will, in a good amount of time, we will continue exploring. I did make it to floor 12, I think. We'll see how long that lasts. Honestly, we're kind of doing medium-ish as far as food and things go. But I have all of these papers. I wanted to start reading a few of them because they seem to tell a story. If you guys remember from when I showed off our descriptions of our characters, my particular character looked up to a character named DESH, which is like a hero of some sort. You'll see him pop up in these stories. I don't know what the story's about, but we're gonna find out. So first was Proof of Life, which was the opening story that was read to us, and then we have A Legend Begins. Desh the hero was still merely an adventurer of no fame. It was at this time that he wanted to climb the ranks as an adventurer by plying his trade with Mile the Warlock. He was full of hopes and dreams, but no opportunities came knocking at his door, and he continued his days as a simple adventurer. He then received a request from Cindy, the owner of the curry restaurant in the adventurous town of Peon, and Alexandra the Sandwich, the ruler of the trade nation of Isis. The request was to conquer the ice country of Ainsvel. Desh happily accepted. Quest preparations. Ainsvel was known as a land of mystery, encapsulated in ice throughout the years. The Ains ruled the land, and had no contact with the human world. Desh would garner attention as an adventurer if he conquered the country. As Desh and Meal prepared for the quest, Alexandra and Cindy gave them 3 super spicy curry blocks. As parting gifts, Desh joked that they'd be warm in a heartbeat after eating them. And then the two set off to the northern land of Belsim, the closest place to Ainsvel. Desh and Meal had little experience when it came to monsters in the north. Even so, they had arrived in Peon and had plenty of time to devise a strategy against them. Weapons imbued with fire magic were said to be effective against northern monsters. But Peon lacked enough supplies to make the journey north. To rectify the shortage, Desh used equipment materialization magic to allow for the mass production of supplies. Meal spent his time training his fire magic for the sole purpose of conquering Ainsvel. All of their hard work and preparation paid off, as they had far less trouble defeating the monsters than they originally expected. While the monsters in the north gave Desh and Meal little trouble, the bitingly cold air was another story. At the time, the people of Peon lacked adequate knowledge about the climate in the northern lands. As such, they were unable to accurately gauge the cold and did not have suitable attire to withstand it. Upon setting off for Ainsvel, they were overcome by the cold before even reaching Belsim, and they were on the verge of freezing to death. In a last-ditch effort, they ate a block of super spicy curry on hand. The curry thankfully heated their bodies up, and they managed to stave off the cold. Back on their feet, Desh and Meal set off once again for Belsim. Desh and Meal barely managed to reach Belsim. The residents were exasperated to find that the two of them had chosen the dead of winter to make their journey rather than summer. After experiencing the pain of inadequate preparations, Desh and Meal sought out knowledge from the Belsim folks to survive the icy lands. As they continued their preparations, Desh and Meal asked the people of Belsim about Ainsvel. While Ainsvel is a frozen territory, ever enveloped in ice, the cold does slightly subside in the summer. Perhaps that would be their best opening. However, the road to Ainsvel from Belsim is blocked by a river that can only be crossed by boat. There also happens to be an ice golem that has been stationed by the Ains along this path. Those not welcome will be dealt with. While Desh and Meal weren't the first to attempt to conquer Ainsvel, everyone who came before them had their journeys cut short midway. It was still winter. Ice and snow were at their most difficult to travel through. Through the advice of the Belsim people, Meal insisted summer would be the best time to move, but Desh would not budge and demanded that they push ahead. Meal eventually yielded, and agreed to go, only if they turned back upon the slightest inkling of danger. Desh and Meal attempted to cross the Great River. While their efforts to withstand the cold were successful, thanks to the advice from the Belsum people, they found themselves stopped by the ice golem. Despite having its arms cut by Desh and its leg melted by Meal, the ice golem continued to regenerate the icy river with a force that had seen many an intruder. It was there that Meal decided to take the second of Desh's spicy curry blocks and throw it at the ice golem. In the blink of an eye, the golem began to melt into the icy river. They seized their opportunity to successfully cross the river before the golem reformed. And then we have postscript 1-1. This is a record of Desh, the hero's adventures. As I, the writer, was not with him on his travels, I want to make it clear that the stories and descriptions may not be 100% truth. However, I have spoken at length with Princess Snow, who was involved in the adventures, and she has supervised the writing, so I've made every effort to present the reality. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge everyone involved. I'm sure there are people out there wondering why I've decided to compile a record of Desh, the hero's adventures. Now, after all this time, having too much time on my hands was one reason, but another is that I found fewer people who knew about Desh in detail, and more instances of him being overtly romanticized and glorified. As someone who knew him at the time, I thought it would be best to write about the real Desh without all of the bells and whistles. I've done my best to be faithful to the truth, but I cannot deny that there's some bias that can't be avoided. I know I've said this before, but I hope you keep this in mind as you read this record. This chapter is about one of Desh's greatest achievements, the conquering of Ainsfell. The story is connected to the next chapter, Princess Snow's rescue, and chronologically precedes it. Some records tend to lump the two stories into one big achievement, but they will be treated separately in this record. I've done this because I feel as though Desh's conquering of an unknown land and the resolution of the problems he finds there, the basis of the next chapter, should have two different spotlights shown on them. The two stories combined would also be too long, so I thought it would read easier in a book as separate chapters. This chapter depicts Desh and Meal almost freezing to death due to their lack of preparation. As Ainsfell had never been explored at the time, the people of Peon had no idea about just how cold it was. While some humans now live in Ainsfell and knowledge of its cold is more widely known, there are still stories of people being saved from almost freezing to death when attempting to holiday there. If you do wish to experience what the hero conquered, then please prepare properly. Desh is known for his magical ability to materialize equipment, but I will explain in more detail for those reading about it. For the first time, to simplify, Desh wielded magic that could produce weapons that he envisioned, and could continue to do so as long as his magic did not run out. Now, you might be thinking that it's an almighty ability to materialize any weapon he desires, but he can't actually materialize something unless he has a clear and accurate image of it. For example, in Desh's case, he can only create weapons he's used to using, and can clearly picture this. This is why he trained with fire weapons he wished to bring on his quest to conquer Ainsfell. His physical condition also affected the results. There was a time when he used his magic in the midst of a stomachache and produced a plate instead of a weapon. Much to Meal's amusement, the skill also uses a lot of magic. If he wanted to create a magically powerful weapon, he would need to gather enough magic to do so. Okay. There may be readers out there who don't actually know who Meal the Warlock is. Many records of Desh the hero's adventures depict him as a lone traveler. As such, few know of Meal. Meal the Warlock was an adventurer who formed a trusty duo with Desh from his very early days. He had more experience as an adventurer than Desh, and was also a seasoned magic wielder. However, there were reasons as to why he didn't like revealing his name. This is why books rarely mention him. I sometimes get threats over trivializing the role of curry, but there's nothing trivial about it. It's actually rather important. It's something imbued with witch's magic by Cindy the Curry Witch and Alexandra the Sand Witch. It isn't just a spicy meal on the go. It goes without saying that the curry block that was thrown at the ice golem and melted the Great River didn't do so simply because it was spicy. Rather, the magic inside of it affected the ice golem. Okay, and I'm not going to read this one because it's kind of skipping ahead a bit. We do have a couple random recipes as well. I don't think I have to look at any of that though. The multitask, various research was conducted regarding appearance, customization. Yeah, these are just recipes to unlock thingies, I think. Okay, so that was the kind of beginning of DESH's tale. I feel like I need to get a couple more pages to kind of understand a few more pieces of the story. So, I think I will probably end this one here, just so I can also post this on TikTok. I am on TikTok now. It's mainly just me posting kind of backlog playthroughs at the moment. I do plan to do some content for that, but right now it's just going to kind of be something I can filter out some stuff to. But go follow it if you like. I'll put it in the description. But yeah, I will see you guys on the next part. Bye bye.